Welcome to the Core Connections podcast on YouTube. Hey, I'm Erica Zeal. I'm a nutrition coach, Pilates instructor, fashion worker, mom of 3, creator of the Core Rehab program, Core Athletica, instructor training programs, and the Nocta Fitness membership. And my Core Connections podcast is designed so that I can help share information with you to help improve your quality of life. So tune in to this episode. Because a lot of my audience is women, and many of them are moms, I want to talk about embracing your body, showing grace, compassion, love for yourself. And what advice do you have for our listeners to help them build their self-confidence and self-esteem and that whole bundle when it comes to just body and self-care and self-love, really?
I don't focus on it really acutely, but I look at it as though my body is a friend. And so here, I'll give you a little anecdote about my own life. I used to get really upset with my knees because I started developing some patellar tendonitis and having a lot of trouble with my workouts, where I used to be incredibly agile and was able to do all of these awesome things. And then as that started to deteriorate, I was mad at my body. And I was going, why can't you perform? And so I was experiencing pain in my joints, but I was going, why are you the way you are? You suck, you're mean, you're awful, I hate you, right? But we do the same thing with weight. We do the same thing with stretch marks or acne or lines around our face. And we go, oh God, what is wrong with you? Instead of understanding that we did that. So whether it's the choices that you made of what you've consumed or being a sun bunny or, whatever the case is, we're not observing. So for instance, now when my knees start to act up, I'm like, oh, pain is just messaging, whether it's emotional pain or physical pain. So it's just my body's way of trying to get my attention, going, Amy, please pay attention. Something is awry. We need you to take some sort of proactive steps. So switching that anger towards my body and going, oh my gosh, honey, I see that you need some help. Like a friend, right? I'm coming to your rescue. We're going to get an MRI. We're going to search out, some holistic techniques. So it does not mean that I don't have pain, but it means how I converse with my body is different. So and I do this with money too, instead of being pissed at money all the time, I'm like, thank you for saving me. So it's changing your relationship from one of acrimony to one of, we're in this together. And so even if I have a bad breakout or if I'm feeling a little heavier than I normally am, I tell my body, thank you so much for still getting up out of bed. I know you're having a hard time sleeping with this a little bit extra weight. Or if I have a breakout, instead of talking to myself in the mirror, I'll go, oh, I know what I did. I had too much gluten. I'm so sorry. That is my fault. I'm going to eliminate that. Or too much dairy this week. That is completely my fault. I'm working on it. Thank you for trying to heal that blemish as much as possible. So again, it's not that the blemish doesn't exist or that the pain doesn't exist or the pounds don't exist. It's how you are talking to yourself that feels a ton better. That's the whole point. It's if you're going to have the knee pain, if you're going to be a little extra in the midsection or something like that, let's at least have a conversation with our body that acknowledges what's happening, but from a more powerful collaborative place. And so, I never, ever say anything biting to myself. If I'm feeling heavier, I'll call myself a little cherub. You're looking like a little cherub right now, but I will never say something that I wouldn't say, to a child, to a friend, or, because I'm responsible for this body. We need to acknowledge that it's not against us. It's just doing everything it can to keep us afloat, given what we're putting in, putting into it.
Right. I love that. Looking at our ailments and different things as a message to us to improve upon some of the choices that we're making, and to get healthier. I think that is thank you for sharing that.
Sure.
Love it. We're going to make a whole quote about that. That's amazing. I think that's so good because of just this, world we're in of everyone trying to compare their bodies to someone else's when it's you are your own body and you are your own person. So we have to stop doing that, right?
And, I just want to say one other final thing here, because it's, everybody has varying degrees, right? So there could be somebody who's dealing with a really horrible illness. It's not always just weight that we're at odds with our body, right? Sometimes it's you're dealing with endometriosis and you have extreme pain, right? And so every time your cycle comes around, you're just miserable. And it's so easy in those moments to hate your body, like, you're inflicting all of this pain on me. So I think if we can still look at it through a place of compassion and, oh my gosh, it's really trying to just pull through, I think there's room for us to not like our situation. And that doesn't have to mean we don't like our bodies, but we collapse those two all the time. So I'm not saying to somebody, love that you're 100 pounds overweight, or love that you're dealing with a debilitating illness, or love that all the texture of your skin. It's, I love me even though I haven't attained a goal, or even though I haven't reached optimum health. It's two totally different things. So if there's, and that's a hard thing for adults to grasp, but children, I think sometimes if you start those seeds young, you can say like, hey, there's ways to, if you want to be a really strong athlete, or if you want to achieve this level in soccer, or whatever it is, that's okay. But what I want you to understand is that you don't have to do those things to be a valuable human. You're already valuable and you're already worthy. And then we get to have any type of goal outside of that. But please know, you don't lose your value, you don't lose your worth depending on how heavy you are, how skinny you are, how pretty you are, how acneic you are. None of that. That just is a part of the human experience. And then we can work with those things. If your body's thrown out acne or it's thrown out a thyroid issue, we can work with those things. That doesn't ever mean you're not lovable or not valuable. So the earlier that you can teach girls that there's a separation of those two things, and boys, I mean, anybody, adults, everybody, that, I'm not saying you have to like your situation. All I'm saying is, like, work on loving yourself as you improve your situation.
Sometimes with whether it's weight or it's ailments or anything really, if there's something that you feel is standing in your way of you loving your body for the way it is, that could be the missing piece from you getting from A to whatever your goal is, right? It's almost an emotional thing. Sometimes it's the emotional stuff that can hold us back from reaching our goals. So instead of being like, oh, once I lose 20 pounds, I'm going to love my body better, do it the other way around.
And something that I advocate all the time, because it's like, okay, great, Amy and Erica, that sounds fantastic. I can't wait. I'm just going to love my body. I'll just turn that right on. One of the things that I'll teach people to use is a term that I've coined, progressive language. So instead of saying, I love my body, or I love who I am, say something that is like, I'm on my way to. I'm exploring what positive body image looks like. I'm open to creating a new relationship with my body. I'm discovering what it looks like to let go of old weight paradigms. Something like that, where you can acknowledge where you really are, and it's an A to B instead of an A to Z.
And it's just not going to change overnight, right? But just the stuff that Amy and I have talked about today is enough tools for each and every one of you to feel that much more connected and in love with your body and accepting of who you are today. And that could help you get to your goal.